This is Steve Graves from the Geography Department at California State University at Northridge. This is a video tutorial designed to help students use Microsoft Excel to analyze and visualize residential water use data that has been collected from the city of Santa Clarita during the drought period of 2014 to 2015. Several of the things that we're going to look for is whether or not residents in these areas of Santa Clarita heeded state and local warnings or policy guidance on water use. Because the drought was particularly horrible during those years, we should have seen a reduction in water use over the 3-year period as the intensity of the drought increased. So let's go ahead and get started. The data set that I've provided you includes columns on the type of housing that includes single-family residential, and then apartments, the street, the city, the zip, and these columns here indicate a month. And then as we move to the far right of the data block, we see the count of observations, and that was calculated in a previous assignment. And what we want to do is to only take those observations that have a full 36 months of data, 3 years. We have the mean and standard deviation of the observations, so the mean water use over the entire period, and then the standard deviation over the entire period. So the first thing that we want to do is simply sort the data by count so that we can eliminate from consideration those houses and apartments that don't have 36 months of data. So click on the Home tab, and then with your cursor or the highlighted cell AR1, click Sort and Filter and click Z to A, and all of the values of 36 through full 3 years of observations will come up to the top. These are the ones that we want to do some analysis on. One of the best ways to isolate those observations that you don't want to use is to highlight the column that contains the count. So I'm doing that by pressing Control, Shift, and down at the same time, which highlights the entire column. And then I'm going to press Control F, which is the find function, and I will type in 35 because that would be the first observation that is not desirable. And I click Find Next, and there we see, I pressed Escape to get rid of that, the first 35. So all of the observations above this are usable, all below are not usable. So with my cursor here on 35, I can see that that's row 8242. I can click on that and click Insert Rows, and I can do that several times over. If you like the key F4, that means repeat on your PC. And then now this data block down here of the unusable observations is separated from the ones above. It's at this point we can begin doing some additional calculations on the data. Scroll to the top once again, and in column AU, let's put in a value for 2014. And so we'll type in 2014 M for mean, and then repeat that 2015 M for mean or average, and then 2016 M, and then type in the first of the 3 cells AU2 equals average, left parentheses, and then go over and highlight the first 12 of those columns. which will include the first month of 2015, because that's really December 2014's water use. So we have a mean of 21.33. Repeat the process for 2015, which would take you from February 2015 to January 2016. Repeat it one more time, equals average, and you could probably go backwards, 2017 to the last month of 2016. So once again, that's AF to AQ, and enter. And unfortunately, we see that, at least in this household, that during the drought, water usage increased over the 3-year period rather than decrease. Highlight those 3 columns, or those 3 cells, and press Control C to put them in the clipboard, and double click in the lower right hand corner to copy that information all the way down. At this point, what we want to do is try a mass or a group analysis of the data. Click on Data tab, click on Data Analysis. If the data analysis tool does not appear on your computer, then click on File, click on Options, and you may see a different thing here at the bottom. If Account Feedback and Options, it may say More, but click on that, then click on Options, and then click on Add-ins, and then click on Go at the bottom, and select Analysis Tool Pack. This one, click OK, and then the Data Analysis Tool Pack should appear in this window here. Contact your instructor if you cannot manage to get that to work. Once you have that, click Data Analysis and click on Descriptive Statistics. Click OK. It's asking you what's your input range. Click on Descriptive Statistics, click OK, and here you need to click on cell H1, which is the first of your numeric values. Press Control Shift and down to highlight the entire first column of data, and then just select that entire column of data that you have calculated. Press Labels and first row, New Worksheet Ply, Summary Statistics, and click OK. Note the input range should appear as it does here on my screen. Now what we have are multiple columns of data that give us the mean, standard error, standard deviation, median, all of those things for each month. And we can do what we want with that. You may not want to do a whole lot with it at this point, but it is worth knowing how to generate a large number of basic descriptive statistics in a one-click environment. The next thing that we want to do is to go back to Water Use Data Anon, our main tab, and click somewhere in the data block, click Insert, and click Pivot Table. You've done this already, so just click OK. So what we're going to try to do here is to examine the water use by zip code over the study period. So you can click Zip and drag it into the rows. There are the zips that appear, and then scroll to your bottom and you can click Mean and put it in there, and then click the 2014 mean, the 2015 mean, and the 2016 mean. And you get a sum, and this is the total water usage, and we would hope that it would decrease from 2014 to 2016, but we see that unfortunately it doesn't appear to have done that. You are also encouraged to then click on Value Field Settings, change each of them to average. So average of the whole, average of the 2014 water usage, Value Field Settings, average for 2015, and one last one here, average of 2016. Click OK. And at this point, we probably should do one last thing, is to grab, we'll change this average of mean here, which is interesting, but not as useful as just a simple count. So Value Field Settings and count. So now we know how many observations we have in each of these, for each of these zip codes, and we want to filter the zip codes out so it doesn't include 380 and 390 here on the bottom. So click on that down arrow and unselect 390 and 91380 because there's only one household, and that's not enough for us. The last of these required things that I want you to do is to highlight this data and click on Pivot Chart, and then select this for the chart type and click OK. And we want to remove count of mean from the list of fields. Click count of mean, and now we have a indicator of which of the zip codes had the most effective reduction in water use over the drought period. And we can see that 91321 looks like it did the best, even though it's nothing to brag about, because in the third year of the drought it appears to have come up a little bit. And the same is the case here. 91387 actually did much worse in the third year of the drought than it did in the middle year of the drought. One last thing that we can do with this is to scroll to the top once again, and then pull out type, grab that and drop it into the above zip and axis categories. And then what we see is a difference between multiple individual metered, which are essentially apartments, their water use, which appears now on the left side of the graphic. And we see that apartment users were generally better, but in many ways reduced their consumption the least. They were already low users, so that takes a bit of logic to sort this out. So this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's available as graphic visualizations of sustainable trends that you might want to explore with this software. This concludes this tutorial.